FYI program. We got Ted Tornow in. He has recently announced his resignation as general manager of Clinton baseball for 25 years. But before we get to Ted, we got the president of the Clinton Baseball Club Board of Directors, Brian Kenney, in studio with us. So, Brian, how surprised were you when you got the announcement of his resignation?
Good morning, Gary. Well, we were quite surprised that Ted is deciding to move on, but for good reasons, and we are eternally grateful for all the work that Ted has done. And when you think about it, it's not just for baseball in Clinton, though he has done immeasurable things for the Clinton Baseball Club, the LumberKings. His work here in Clinton and for the community and an advocate for the city of Clinton and surrounding communities is immeasurable, and we're forever grateful for him. And of special note is his lovely wife, Ruth, because what many people don't know is Ruth also spends many hours down at the stadium giving her time to do all the little things that just need to get done to make going to a baseball game in Clinton a great experience. So we're very appreciative of all his efforts. 25 years of a lot of hard work through a lot of tough times, and I could go through those now, but we've all been out through all the tough times together. We're just very, very grateful for Ted. We wish him nothing but the best, and we'll constantly be in touch as we move through the process of trying to find someone to fill his shoes. That will not be an easy task, but we're very happy for Ted and Ruth as they are pursuing their new adventure.
Brian, tell us a little bit about that process. How does that all get started?
Well, the board of directors is a group of volunteers, and so we are not baseball knowledgeable like people like Ted and what Ted does for a living. So Ted has graciously offered to help us in our search for our next general manager. So Ted and I and the executive board met, and we'll be placing an ad nationally. So we'll be looking for the best candidate to fill the spot, whether that person lives 3 doors away from the stadium or across the country. And the process is a matter of advertising it and defining what we're looking for in our next candidate and working through the process to bring someone to Clinton to begin our next adventure.
All right, Brian, appreciate you coming in. I'll let you head on back over to school and educate our youth of America here
Awesome.
today.
Thanks, Gary.
All right, appreciate it very much. We're going to dedicate the rest of the program now to Ted Tornow. Again, Brian, thanks so much for coming in. Ted, let's go back to 25 years ago.
Oh, boy.
How'd you end up in Clinton, Iowa?
Well, first off, I just want to say thanks to Brian for coming in and saying those nice words, especially about my bride. She's the super glue that holds it together, and sometimes I need that. Well, not sometimes, all the time I need that. So anyway, 25 years ago, I was in Butte, Montana. 26 years ago, I was in Butte, Montana, and the club there was owned by Mike Veck and comedian and actor Bill Murray and the rest of the gang of idiots, as they called them. And we were having a heck of a time, all collectively, with the people that had the stadium. And it wasn't the city of Butte, it was the school, the University of Montana at Montana Tech. And to their credit, they wanted to just make it a football-only facility, which it is now. And they really didn't care about baseball. I mean, as sad as that sounds, it's the truth of the matter after 25 years. And so Mike just said, I'm not going to move the club. So he said, we're selling it. He did mention, though, that he said if you'd like to come work for, at that point, he had 4 other clubs. He said if you'd like to work for one of my clubs, you can, but it won't be a general manager's job, which at that point in time, I had been the general manager collectively for 2 different clubs for like 5 years, okay? So long story short, I said, well, I appreciate that, Mike, but I'd like to see what else is out there. So he did mention that there was an opening in Clinton, Iowa. Now, whether or not he helped me get this job, I have no idea, nor am I ever going to ask him. Mike's been a dear friend of mine for 30, almost 40 years. So I applied, and we actually had a little joke about it last night when we met with the executive board, but I interviewed on Halloween night, Halloween afternoon, October 31st of 1998. And it was shortly, probably maybe a day or two later, that I was back in Montana, and I got the offer. So packed up the gear, moved here, spent about a week in a hotel that is no longer in business. And then just started, and it's been a great ride, Gary.
Were
I
both
can't tell you.
boys born in Clinton?
No, Brett was 6 months old when we moved here.
Okay.
And then Lucas was born in 21. So do the math. Lucas will be 23 this 2024, and then Brett is 25. He'll be 26 this 2024. So we moved and a little one in tow, and then it's crazy. Like I said, it's been a great and crazy ride. It's been cool.
So Clinton is a little different in that it is kind of locally owned. Local shareholders. You've got the board of directors. Had in your previous previous jobs, have you ever worked with something like that?
No. When I started my career in Green Bay was a little bit. Memphis was sole ownership. Huntsville was sole ownership. Jackson was sole ownership. Get to Butte, and we had like 8 owners. So that was like, a step up. And then I get here, and it's like, whoa, hey, there's a lot of people here. And the good news, and to the board's credit, a very, very good friend of mine, two actually very good friends of mine and mentors said, you really, to avoid, yourself going crazy and trying to please everybody, because we all know you can't please everybody. I asked the board, I answer to one person, and that's the president. Now, they can offer all the suggestions and everything they want, but really, in effect, my boss is the president of the board. And in this case, it's Brian. In other cases, it's been other people. In the break, we talked about Paul Davis. Paul was our board president. So, whoever that board president is, and then you've got the hierarchy with the exec board and then the general board. So, but it's all volunteers, as Brian said. So it's been an eclectic mix of people. We've had business people, we've had lawyers, we've had doctors, we've had lay people, we've had construction workers, we've had masons. It's been a great mix because they all have their strengths, they all have their opinions, they all have their viewpoints, and they bring a lot to the table. And it's not just a table of baseball people sitting around. You have the everyday fan. A couple of them grew up in that stadium, and so their perspective is even better than mine or anybody. I just happen to be the GM there, so their perspective is one that, boy, I remember when we did this, and now this is better, or this maybe we can do this to better entertain the fans, or whether it's safety reasons or whatever the case may be.
And that board of directors, you got some workers on that. They're pouring beer. They're doing a lot of other things behind the scenes. So I would imagine they take a lot of pride in what they do for the Clinton Baseball Club.
Yeah, they I hate to say it, but it's true. I think you get people on a board and they just want to see their name on a board. They like their name on a piece of paper. Mm-hmm. And we've had a few of those. I don't mind telling you. I think every board's had them, but they get weeded out pretty quick. They really do. And the great thing is, you're right. I just asked them, just show up on time and show up and be a contributing member of the Clinton Baseball Club, aka Clinton LumberKings. And you're right. Beer, tickets, and scoreboard. And they have been a huge part of the success because it isn't like I can get them off, but the other board members realize the hard work and effort being put in. And it's almost like they bring their own standards up. Hey, this is acceptable or this is not acceptable. Mm-hmm. Ship up or shape out. Shape up or ship out, whatever that is. Yeah.
There you go. Before we take a break for the weather, and again, we'll continue to the bottom of the hour with Ted Tornow. So you do have a new position in place already. You can't divulge where you're going to be going or what you're going to be doing.
Right.
But did they contact you? How did that come about?
It was a little weird because for years I had been approached by other people, okay, Mike included. Mike Veck is still mad at me after all these years because, we got started with the renovation, Vision Iowa, and then I said I couldn't leave, and because I had always told him I would love to work with him again, and now 25 years later, we still aren't, but I still love him to death, and so he had asked, and I always turned him down. And the biggest reason I said this to the board, so I don't mind sharing this with you, was family. I didn't want to be a dad that with his kids, sitting 500, 600, 700 miles away or 1,000 miles away, whatever the case may be. And so we stuck around, and I stuck around, and I tell you what, the whole thing with COVID and the resurgence of the Prospect League was just a great adrenaline rush, and I couldn't walk away from that. I mean, it's like the renovation. I couldn't walk away when we were renovating, and I couldn't walk away after the renovations because I wanted to see, I wanted to play with my new toy type thing. We wanted to run it and operate it. So over the years, you make friends in the industry, and they had reached out again, and at that point, it was kind of like, well, I looked at the boys and I looked at Ruth and I said, well, 25 years is a good run. 25 years is a great run, okay? And this club is in great condition. It's and not, but it's been a collective effort. It's not just me, and I want to make sure that's put out there. And one of them reached out and said, hey, you might be interested in this. And I went through the process, and you do what you do, and they kept calling. I was like, okay, well, and when the offer came in, it was kind of like, wow, okay, what do I do? So that was a period of about a week straight where some sleepless nights. What do you walk away from a comfort and a community that you've grown to love and go off on a faraway adventure to a place that you visited before, you enjoyed your time there, but now you're going to be working there, and so it was a situation where I did a lot of talking, did a lot of soul searching, did a lot of praying, did a lot of everything, and it just felt like the right time to leave. We had just come off another good third consecutive season, acknowledged by our peers as the organization of the year in the league. If there was a time to leave, I felt, in my opinion only, this was it, really. Truth be told.
Much more with Ted Tornow, but let's take a break for the weather, brought to you by Morrison Community Hospital.
We are going to see quiet conditions for us for this afternoon. The big question is, how stubborn are those clouds going to be? Hopeful to see a couple peaks of sunshine, but regardless, dry skies, highs in the mid-30s, and we will see calm winds. Overnight tonight, clouds going to likely build right back into place and thicken up a little bit. Temperatures going into Friday will be a little better for us in the mid to upper 30s, with mostly cloudy but dry conditions. I'm Storm Track 8 meteorologist Morgan Strackbine.
Overcast, 31 degrees. Our update brought to you by Morrison Community Hospital. Colder weather can bring about ear infections and sore throats. Dr. Thane Cody of Morrison Community Hospital specializes in the surgical and medical treatment of ear, nose, and throat for both adults and children. Dr. Cody has extensive experience and expertise in the treatment of head and neck cancer and thyroid tumors. He provides diagnostic and therapeutic treatment of acute or chronic conditions. Dr. Cody is currently accepting new patients. To make an appointment, call 815-772-5590 of Morrison Community Hospital. Going to the bottom of the hour with Ted Tornow again. 25 years general manager of the Clinton Baseball Club, making a career move now. You had mentioned community, and you are certainly involved in the community. Talk about that aspect of a general manager of a baseball club.
Well, it's important whether you're singly owned, but I tell you what, it's even 30 times more important with a 30-member board of directors. And the fact that this club is community owned. There's 982 shareholders that hold 3,974 shares of stock, or whatever the numbers are. They fluctuate depending on who's died this week and everything else. So, and they stretch. I think at the last count, we were at literally almost all 50 states and 4 foreign countries. It's crazy. The club's been around since 1937. So we're in our 6th or 7th generation of people, of shareholders that have passed it on, and wills and probate courts and everything else. So the community it has to be literally almost number one. Business acumen has to be up there, obviously. But the community involvement, because again, your barber down on the street on Main Avenue probably has 2 shares handed down from his great-great-grandfather. And the business owner on 5th Avenue South has 10 shares that their father bought in 1981. You don't know. And without looking at the shareholder list, there's people on that list that I still see today. I'm like, wow, I forgot they're owners, and just. but the community involvement is huge, and I've tried my best to get out there. And there's only so many boards you can be on, but I think I've hit every single one of them over 25 years, and try to be involved with as many as I can.
KROS is one of those shareholders, by the way.
Yes, they definitely are.
Have passed down years.
You betcha.
After
You
Hank
betcha.
Dillman to myself.
You betcha. Yep.
So you have dealt with Major League Baseball clubs for years, and then all of a sudden we have no more Major League Baseball affiliate. What was that time period like?
Well, I'll be honest, it was a little depressing when you're told, you know, nobody wants to be told they're not wanted anymore, right? I mean, everybody wants to be liked. Everybody's favorite word is their name. And when the calls stopped coming in, the people that were my true friends, I stayed in touch with in Major League Baseball. The people that to me were the fake friends and the you know, they only did it because it was their job type thing. I never heard from again, and that's fine. You know, I get it. Okay, not a big issue. But the great thing, and the one thing I want to remind everybody is you know, people were like, oh, you know, the club's going to go under. We're going to, and even some in the leadership, I said, listen, we're going to have a team here. I could promise you that, and we did, and that promise was held, you know, was held true. The greatest thing is now we're getting these young kids who now, and Jared Simpson's a perfect example. Kid played in Clinton High School's program, went to college, went to University of Iowa, gets drafted, pitched for us like a week earlier, gets drafted, gets on a plane, goes to Fredericksburg, Maryland, and pitches for the Washington Nationals. He's the 8th round draft pick. Yeah. And you know what? That is exactly what this league is about. And you know what? We don't have 70 home games. You're right. It's a bummer. We have 30. They're right in the meat of the summer. We don't have those April dates where you've broadcasted where it's been 40 degrees at first pitch and 29 with wind chills and snow flurries at the last out. And, you know, we fill the dates as best as we can. We're working with what we have to deal with in the Midwest. And, you know, we at the heyday, we were probably at 100, 102, 105 events with a 70-game season. Right now, we're probably at 60, 65. With high school, college, concerts, class reunions, bar mitzvahs, you name it. We do them, okay?
You obviously had to get creative.
We did.
And talk about the Prospect League. What made you go in that direction?
It was a combination of factors. The biggest one was financial, okay? Independent ball, you have to pay the players. So but before we ever threw a first pitch, our bottom line was $350,000 in the red, okay, between manager, liability, you know, you're paying somebody. So just, you know, figure the payroll implications. With the college wood bat leagues, you don't pay them, okay, because of the eligibility issues. Now, forget name, image, likeness stuff. Just drop that for a second. The two leagues in our area was the Northwoods, which is the old Waterloo franchise, closest to us, and Rockford is in that as well, and the Prospect League. The big difference between the two, the Northwoods League had a little bit more financial constraints to it in terms of, you know, call it revenue sharing, call it management fees, call it whatever you want. Okay, it just was a little bit more constrictive for our taste, and so really, quite frankly, the one that stood out head and shoulders, or even above seeing exactly what there was the Prospect League. There's teams in the old Midwest League, Danville. Normal. It just had a better feel to it. It really did. And so when the time came to choose Burlington and Clinton, the old Midwest League clubs, we chose the Prospect League, and it's been a great ride. Jack Dom, I can't say enough great things about Jack, our manager. He takes all the worries away. He literally is in charge of the roster. I told him from day one, you're complete control. You know, you handle it. I don't have time to go to these college games and scout online and go to these games and things and try to pick out the best shortstop. That's not my gig, and I'm not good at it. I mean, I can be good, but that's not what they pay me here to do. So.
Visiting with Ted Tornow again, general manager at the Clinton Baseball Club for 25 years, getting ready to move on to a new adventure. Born and raised in Clinton, Riverview Stadium, now of course Nelson Corp Field, was a huge part of my life, and I would imagine that ballpark is a big part of the youth of Clinton today. So what do you do to try to make the ballpark attractive for the family and for the youngsters?
Keep it clean, keep it safe, you know, and we did some measures over the last year with maybe some unruly kids, and unfortunately that's the way society is, but I think we took a big step in that direction with some unsupervised kids, and we're going to draw the mom and dad and the 2.1 nuclear kids and the families. And I think, again, you keep it safe for them. You keep it clean. You keep it affordable. I think that's a perfect recipe, and it's worked. It's worked for the organizations I've run here and other places, and I don't think it's a secret sauce. I think it's just that's the way you do good business. Nobody wants to go to a trashy place, dirty, filthy, and you're not treated with respect. You're not, it's kind of like the golden rule, and that's a huge part. And you mentioned the board. The ticket takers, hey, welcome to the stadium, come on in, and our ushers do a great job, and really the collective group, not just me, but the collective group of all the part-time employees, the board members, everybody, they have to be on the same page. They have to be working in sync together, because without it, we're all human, we all make mistakes, but at the same point, it's a group effort, it's a collective effort to just that. Yeah, it needs to stay a big part of it. And I know there were some issues about, maybe tearing it down and building a condo and all this crazy stuff, but no, it needs to be exactly where it's at.
Yeah, it was built in the FDR.
That's right.
It's got to stick around.
WPA, you betcha, Work Progress Administration.
I wanted to add, my first job was working at the ballpark. I was 14 years old, summer of 1969, selling peanuts, popcorn, Cracker Jacks, whatever at the ballpark. And I think it's great to go down to the concession stand and see those high school kids working.
Oh, it's great. You talk about generations of shareholders. I think I'm on my third generation, because like their parents, their grandparents worked, and they had a baby. Okay, so now they're 25 years old, and they're having babies. I say third generation, second generation.
Right.
But it's I just shake my head and laugh.
My mom and dad worked here.
That's exactly
right. Can I
right.
get a job?
Yeah, I remember when I was tagging along with my mom and dad, and now I'm old enough to work. Can I apply? And it's actually funny, and it's heartwarming, because they had a great time there, even working there and going there.
Oh yeah.
And so that's important too. That's very important.
We got a couple more minutes, and thank you so much for coming in.
Oh,
And
I
you were
love
on
it.
time today, too,
Yeah,
and that's
thank you.
great. That is great. For Men's Day, we would always get started without you.
That's because I wanted to make
Men's
Jim.
Day.
That's I wanted to make Jim McGraw late.
Yeah. So, your proudest moment of the 25 years?
I think getting us out of that doldrums with just COVID wiped everybody out, but the big thing was Major League Baseball, and again, they know who they are, but the naysayers, baseball's not going to be here, we're going to make plans without you, blah, blah, blah. I knew we'd have a team. I knew we would. And so those that are listening, whether you're listening or not, I could just say, you're wrong. You were wrong. We have made it. It's the phoenix rising out of the ashes, whatever. Are we completely there yet? No. COVID took a lot out of this franchise, as it did every business. Okay, there's still issues that are still out there in terms of finances and stuff. And when you have a community-owned franchise like that, it sometimes gets exacerbated even more. But we're in a better place now, and we're moving forward. And I think that would be the proudest, and a very close runner-up would be the expansion, would be the renovation back in '06.
Yeah, it's incredible. Because when I first started doing the ball games back in the mid-'70s, it didn't look anything like that. What's on the lighting wasn't that good. Yeah. Different things like that.
And a funny story, which you mentioned about Hank, and real quick, was Hank would sit in his first row seats, okay? And I had the utmost pleasure of almost every home game, sitting down there with him, okay? And
him and Lydia were right there.
And I would just pick his brain, and he would just enamor me with stories of long ago and times, and he would just and even in his advanced age, he
stayed sharp.
Yeah, he could recall stuff, and I'm just like, I was blown away, and I always made a point to go down there and talk to him. And I felt kind of bad, some of the other fans, but here you have a walking encyclopedia of baseball and really of history in the area. And Hank was just such a lovely guy to talk to and share stories with.
Okay, and just one final thing, and I was down at the ballpark in '06, '07, and '08. You had not come on yet as general manager when my last 1992 was the last year that we did the games. Sunday Hawaiian shirts. You got me a Hawaiian shirt for Sunday. Why?
Yeah. I saw an opportunity, and this comes a little bit from Mike, mostly from Mike and a few other mentors over the years. No ties allowed. No ties allowed. And I took it one step further, and I have a link to Hawaii that goes back a generation or two, and I said to the staff, let's just make it Sunday afternoons. We'll just make it very casual, and I don't want to see open-toed shoes for safety reason and hygiene, but we just made it very, very relaxed and very, very thing, and I think I just forgot the calendar and made it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Right.
And I think at that point in time, I think everybody knew who I was, and even if they didn't, it deflected the attention off of me, and people could, I don't know, be themselves, relax, do whatever. Okay, So I have a closet full of Hawaiian shirts. Some don't fit me anymore. That goes to my weight gain and old age. But I think it. And if they keep that tradition with some of the staff there, that'd be kind of cool. But if they do, they do. If they don't, they don't. That's cool.
Thank you for coming in, and thank you for your 25 years in Clinton. Best of luck going forward.
Thank you very much.
You're listening to AM 1340 KROS, Clinton, Iowa.
FM 105.9.
And KROSradio.com.
This is Radio Iowa. State health officials say COVID activity is very high across Iowa, and hospitalizations are up, along with rising numbers of cases of flu and RSV. A report on WHO TV says it's the result of so many holiday gatherings where illnesses were transmitted. A winter storm is developing that has the potential to impact travel early next week across wide areas of the state. Forecasters say the current weather models show the heaviest snowfall across Iowa's southern third, likely Monday into Tuesday. Governor Kim Reynolds hosted an online hearing about the state budget yesterday, but offered no preview of her tax and spending plan. Mike Rosenboom, legal counsel for the Iowa Bankers Association, says the state is well positioned to cut both taxes and spend money on affordable housing, child care, education.